But moving on to the next topic, we had cancel culture, is what it's called, or like it's a form of ostracism, if that's the right word.
Ostr- Ostracism, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
And
it. You're
so
right.
that's kind of our next topic. This one I'm hoping you can make more points than I can because I don't have any like off the top of my head examples besides
Yeah,
like celebrities that have been that have been canceled.
yeah, yeah. I I guess it's not that I have a lot of points, but obviously cancel culture I think is like a pretty big issue in like society right now because I feel like it incentivizes too much like not talking, and I think it incentivizes like not kind of like what we said in our intro, like we want all kinds of views to come in and talk to us, and I think cancel culture is like a main reason people won't. And so hopefully like people watch this segment and be like, oh well, I can go on and talk without like being canceled or whatever, because I think cancel culture is a major issue in especially the United States. And I guess I don't have a lot of like information on other countries, but I assume it's a worldwide thing. And I think it's a huge thing that should be just it shouldn't be cancel culture really. It should be more of like having a real discussion about like things that can be potentially harmful, especially like even people who have certain views that could harm people and like do like immoral things to people. It's not that I think they should be like shut up and like called out, but I think it should be something that's not like, oh, you're canceled. Like I think it should be like a discussion with like those group of people on like why it's bad.
Yeah, like
And
more of
like
a
because
call out. Like
yeah, yeah. And the other thing is like I kind of have a belief that like every single view, whether it's like no matter how hatred, I feel like at the core somewhere there's like a hint of good. And so one thing that like I was wanted to bring up was I was watching the new like Kevin Hart movie, like his new like stand up comedy that he did, and it was like in his house because of like COVID. And for anyone who's seen like the first Kevin Hart stand up one, me and Taylor watched it, and it's like super funny. Like it is hilarious. But like the new one he did, like no offense to Kevin Hart, but I didn't think it was all that funny. Just because like the whole a majority of the time he talked about like, oh, I'd say this, but I can't say it because I don't want to get canceled. Like don't cancel me type of thing. And it was like we really live in like a society right now where you could say one little thing and like everybody will just hop on your back about it and like try to get you canceled. And like honestly, I hope there's people that like come on and people try to like say, oh, cancel this podcast, or like we get to the point where like people want to cancel us because it's like why like we're simply talking to people. Like obviously there are people out there that have this opinion. Why can't we just talk about it? Like I I'm not a fan of cancel culture. I think it's terrible for society. I think it's awful for like the psychological state of like humans in general because it,
mhm.
it just
um
it incentivizes so much like shutting up, like don't talk, don't say anything.
yeah, so I don't know how exactly how well I'll form this point, but there's something about that, like about how they were Kevin Hart was afraid to be canceled. It's there's a quote. I don't know if it was a quote. I just remember this saying. It was like when I don't even know what I didn't like how it was identified, but it was like when certain group of people start targeting the comedians, then you know your society or like politics or something like when the comedians are targeted and being attacked, that's when you know something's really going bad. Like that's when you're taking it too far because
Yeah,
comedians are supposed to uh
be funny,
yeah,
like joke.
and it's
Yeah,
like a way to break that stress or just like that tenseness in it, you know, like there's like a common type of joke people do are racist jokes, you know, and it's not because they're trying to be racist or that I think it's because they're not racist, you know, like I think it's because the reason why people are entertained by them is because they're so antsed up about racist things that when the joke happens it's a way to let it out. And it's like comedy in general, it's like it's not to make light of the thing. Like they don't make the racist jokes to make light of what's going on.
Yeah, or to like
Just
be racist.
it's just to
Yeah.
make it more bearable. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's not like a matter of it's like not to take away from the
The issue of racism or like
yeah.
the issue of whatever, like anything,
Hmm. Like
like
it's
9/11 even, like not to take away the issue from like 9/11 or like the tragedy that happened.
yeah, but
Like
like there's a lot of jokes on 9/11, and I'm trying not to laugh, but like it's a way to
to like
get
relieve yourself. Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
it's like a
I
sense
think
of
the
relief. It's like
yeah.
think of a bunch of steam is in you, a bunch of pressure, and when you laugh and have a joke about a topic, like say there's a bunch of steam about the fact that you can't make a basketball hoop, you know, and then someone in a friendly way makes a joke about it and you laugh about it, it just releases that pressure. So it's way more
Yeah.
bearable to deal with and cope with. And I think that's what's super nice about comedians and why they're so successful is because they it allows people to relieve that pressure on topics. And so when society is targeting the comedians and canceling them because of offensive jokes, I think it's uh, I don't think that's a good thing to do because it's a way for people to relieve that pressure and that um, yeah, just to relieve the pressure. And again, it's not like I I I guess I can't speak on behalf of comedians or anything, but like it's a way. It's not to make light of what's going on. You know, it's not to make.
Yeah.
It's not to de devalue the importance of something, but the jokes
Yeah.
are there to make it bearable or like to give it
Yeah.
some sense of humanity too, in a way. Like, um,
Yeah, like people it seems like people are just like when I think about people who get like super offended by jokes and like I'll even give it to them, like there are some jokes that I'll say like okay, yeah, it's like too far, like
mhm.
probably too much, but at the same time like canceling comedians and like going after like comedy and like canceling people for that, it's like what what are you like trying to accomplish? Like do you not want anything to be funny? Like do
Mm.
you just want the driest jokes possible? Like I don't know. Like it's like it seems like they just want to be stressed. Like they just want to like be so tensed up with like certain issues. They don't want anything like no, this is a major problem. We can't like just be all tense about it. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of to like just cancel someone for like yeah like a comedian like Kevin Hart. Like that movie I watched, I was like he like he didn't bring it up like an excessive amount, but he brought it up a few times, and it was just like this isn't like funny because it seems like he's being restricted, and he's even in his own house,
Yeah, he
and it
is
was like it just felt like he was just restricting himself because he's like I just have
afraid.
to watch every single thing I say because I don't want to get canceled. Like that's the problem with cancel culture is you force people to watch like every single word that comes out of their mouth, and whether like honestly what it should be is I kind of have a feeling that cancel culture is a like bad mutation of trying to get people to have a verbal filter, if you will. Like, I kind of feel like it was meant to be something that okay, everyone should like watch what they say and just be like more respectful, which is fine. Like,
But
everyone
there's
should definitely
like
have a filter. But wait, what?
but as anything, it had some extremists that are just taking it too
Yeah,
far.
and like that's where we're at right now. Is we're at the extremist verbal filtration, if you will. Like,
Hmm.
you literally cannot say a single thing that's even a little bit offensive without
Yeah,
just being
like
thrown.
it's that if even if you show criticism against a ideology, you're automatically labeled an enemy, a disturber of the peace type deal. Like,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. Yeah, it's
because
terrible. Like
it's not like the premise
it's
of
bad for
cancel.
society.
Yeah, I think the premise of cancel culture is actually a very positive thing. You know, I mean, it
Oh
does
yeah,
it
definitely.
puts people in line. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there's a lot of instances where say some celebrities or politicians got canceled that are like, hell yeah, let's go as a society. Like, why were we letting that take place in the first place, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I agree.
but then there's stuff like that. It is too far, you know. Like, not that comedians should get like a pass to do bad things, but like also like as I was saying, like comedians are just there to like break that pressure, you know. And again, it's not like they're making light of the situations. It's just that
Yeah,
the pressure is being broken, and it's like say when it comes to like racist jokes. From what I have seen, people of all races, even the ethnicity, like I don't really like the race or the word race, but like um, of that ethnicity, you know, that the joke's being targeted at, they even enjoy it because it's like if you can't laugh at yourself, you're not going to be able to grow either, you know. Like
yeah,
if if a belief you have can't withstand criticism, is it really all that true, you know? Like as a kid, I used to hate jokes that came at me on religion, you know. Everyone knew what church I belonged to and they would always crack jokes at it, and when I was young, I was always offended. I was like, hey man, don't be saying that, okay? Like I didn't have a defense or anything, but as I grew up, I'm like, I joke about it myself all the time. It's just
yeah, yeah. I
like
kind of did the same. Yeah, it's
and
like it was like kind of annoying back then because it was like you didn't have a response, but then as you like grow, you realize like a joke is a joke. Like,
mm-hmm.
and even if they are like maybe serious, it's like, well, that just shows like their poor character of like they have to make fun of you and
Mm-hmm.
they don't have character themselves to
I
like base it off of.
yeah,
Like
like
it's like,
I forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but I think there's like two implications. If you can't take a joke about yourself in any I sense, like any identity of yourself, you know, whether it's a physical identity or like how you mentally identify, if you can't take a joke about it, it shows how I think it shows how self-conscious and how weak-minded you are in it. Like you're not even that confident in yourself that you can't withstand a joke that's happening. um
yeah,
like for instance, remember how skinny and small I was like starting high school. I was like 4'9", 5'1", going into high school, and I was skinny as heck. And I used to always be annoyed when people would point out, "Oh, you're so skinny," and I would always be like, "No, I couldn't tell." You know, like I was generally offended at first, but like as I grew up, I was just like I didn't really have like a good response or anything, but like I just like laughed whether or not I was offended. Like I was able to laugh at it just because it was like it showed those people that I wasn't self-conscious about my body, that they couldn't hurt me. And so people like stopped bullying me because I was small, just because they saw, or I would crack the jokes myself, you know. Kind of like how I did earlier, how I was saying like, yeah, I mean, it was one thing I don't want to get in a fight because it's an altercation, but it's another because the guys are like twice my size, you know. Like
yeah,
I'm able to laugh at myself. I'm able to laugh at my own beliefs and stuff. Not that it makes me believe less, but it shows that there's that I have a strength in that belief. You know, that there's a truth in that belief that that I find to be a personal truth, and I and you see that in a lot of people too. Like the people who enjoy those comedies and stuff, like they're able to laugh at those things because they have you could say mental capacity, but they have the strength to. Um, and I think that's something that it seems like a lot of people are lacking now, is because it's like that term like safe space, you know, like school isn't a safe space or something. Like I think like bullying wouldn't be a thing if you people weren't so self-conscious either. Though I can't, I don't really want to actually say that, but because I mean there's all sorts of forms of bullying, you know. For
yeah,
me,
yeah. I would say like there's a lot of different like I think there's a difference. There's a line between like actually like bullying and like making jokes, I
yeah,
guess.
like I think I like if you could put it in three categories, not that there is three categories. I think you have bullying or like like intentional offense or
Yeah, like
offending.
trying to cause harm type of
Yeah.
thing.
Then you have teasing, and then you have like literally it's just friends because I know both me and you can laugh at it. You know, like
Yeah,
um, I have some ethnic friends that I play games with all the time, and we're just hounding at each other, but it's all in fun and games. It's not
Yeah.
like if I was genuinely a racist, I want to be playing games with these guys. Like they're some of my best friends. I love their company, and
Yeah.
if we just have a great time and like it's almost like we get enjoyment out of how clever of like sayings we can come up with. Like
Yeah.
we just say some like just how wild out of place or just how clever something is, man, it makes those jokes ever more funny. Like the random things people have said. Like one of them was like, "Shut up, Taylor! You look like a Wii remote" to me, and I just thought that was too good. I was like, man, that like it low key hurt, but like at the same time, I was like, dude, that was too clever. Like it's too good. Kind of how like you and like I think it was sophomore year, you guys always called me French fry and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like I think there's something awesome about like how clever and things like that is, and I think that's why I enjoy comedy too, is because on a lot of like, and that's also like why there's like the dry comedy. It's because it's not even like it's not clever and like
It doesn't
comedian.
look at
Yeah,
anything.
it's
It's
like
just
not a
bland.
unique way. It's like
Yeah.
they're relying is I think there's a difference between the joke being funny or the topic being funny. Like the topic like some comedians rely on the topic, like, oh, uh everyone thinks Kevin Hart's funny, so let's crack some jokes at Kevin Hart. But if they're not cleverly thought out or unique, no one's gonna laugh at them. They're just simply relying on the subject of the joke. And I don't
Yeah.
think, like, say, when it comes to some racist jokes that comedians make, it's not that they're relying on the racist part. It's they're relying on the clever, like, hey, there's that kind of unique, like, hey, I see that too. I'm gonna laugh at it type. It's not
Yeah.
it's not like say the say like the Wii remote. It doesn't rely solely on the fact that I'm skinny, because they could have just said, "Hey, you're skinny." Is more like, or like white and skinny. It wasn't that they were relying on my body stature and my skin tone. It was how clever of it was. It wasn't. They didn't just simply say, "Oh, you're white and skinny." It was like, "Oh, you're a Wii remote," and that's why I thought it was so funny. And I
Yeah.
didn't take offense. I was like, "Dang, that was like genuinely good." Like and
Yeah.
that's where the good comedy comes in, I think, and that's how that pressure is relieved, as we were talking about earlier. And I think that's where
Mhm.
it's it's really good there. And so,
Yeah. No,
um,
yeah, I agree. I like how you brought up the there's kind of different, what'd you call it, like categories of like
a joke.
whatever. Yeah, yeah, a joke. Like one is like actually bullying, like you're trying to
Oh,
cause harm,
yeah,
and like the teasing, which is like you're kind of just saying it just to try to get a reaction type thing,
hmm,
like whether good or bad, and
like
then
that's kind of with like,
you're like trying to laugh. Yeah.
yeah, like with teasing, you can tell a lot. Like there's that thing, like you can tell if someone's just kind of a bad person. I don't know if that's the right way you phrase it, but like how there's people who they'll say something and then they'll respond to what they said based off how the group acts. So say if you're in a party and you
Yeah.
crack
Yeah.
a joke and say it's like kind of offensive, if everyone laughs, you start laughing. But if the everyone's like offended, you're like, hey, or you're like, yeah, sorry, that wasn't even funny, was it, or something. Like you react. You're solely going for a reaction, and I think that's where the teasing category is you're looking for a reaction in someone. And so if they
Yeah.
laugh,
Exactly.
it's a positive teasing, because like you both can laugh about it. But if they don't laugh and they take offense, then it's on the other side. Like teasing is 50-50. Then you have the fun, like harmless stuff. And then you have the bullying, offensive, insulting stuff. And like when you tease, it can fall under either category. And that's where those people are like, they wait to see the reaction and then they correct themselves based on it. So if the teasing ends up being funny, then everyone has a good time. But if the teasing ends up being offensive, then they react accordingly. Like, hey, I was just joking, don't tell on me type deal. And like, I don't think it's bad to tease personally, because it's also a way to judge what other people's capabilities are. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Like your relationship with other people or
yeah, like
something.
I think with those friends of mine on Xbox and stuff, I think it was, and to say like even my roommates that I had while at school, three of them were from Nigeria, and they always just call me white boy, but like I think it was they started with teasing, and I would even start with teasing on them. Like we would both tease each other to test each other's boundaries, and when it would go negative, it wasn't like we were solely looking for that reaction, but it's a way for us to judge like, oh, I know that specific route, they don't like it. I didn't get a positive response from it, and so I know not to do that unless I'm trying to instigate something, which that kind of comes down to your character as a person too, and that's where
Yeah.
I say like I'm never looking for that instigate that conflict, but it falls under that same I think it kind of falls under that same premise though, like just me and those roommates or me and my friends, they they would tease with me and they would see if I got a positive or negative. And if it was negative, I would tell them like, and they would even tell me, like if you go too far, they usually tell you like, hey dude, knock that off, and then not to go that far. But even then it could depend on the day as well. And so like you try it again another time and then you get a positive reaction, and then you guys know that you're both comfortable with going that far, and so then you're
Yeah.
able to, then they judge that they're able to say, oh, you look
Yeah.
like a remote, and
Yeah.
so um, there's quite a few funny, like it's a way
Yeah.
to bond, and so I don't think teasing is truly that bad of a deal. And again, if someone has a disagreement with that or disagrees with me on teasing, I'd love to hear it, but
Yeah.
I think, and for all I know, I have a whole different definition for teasing, and I might not
Yeah.
even be talking about teasing, but that's how I see it. Is it's a
Yeah.
way to test the boundaries of someone. And then
Yeah.
there's like our friend John, who I just dog on all the time. So,
Yeah.
but
Sorry. John.
yeah, sorry, John, if you ever
But
watched
yeah,
it.
I actually that's actually like a great time to like cancel cultures. I think society would be like, well, society would be super well off if we all simply went off like something along those lines, like you watch what you say around people, and like if you get really friendly with people, you obviously like test the waters of like, okay, like what can I say and what can I say, because obviously we all have like different humor and we all have like different like views.
Hmm.
And so like I think me and you would agree, like there are definitely like some people have views that offend people, although whether it's dumb or not, that's like another conversation to get offended by like a view. But I think there are some like jokes that some people would actually take offense to, and I think society would be better off with the you get friendly with someone, and then you like test like the humor side. And I think where cancel culture comes in, and it cancel culture ruins all that, is instead of like getting feedback on whether what you said was really like an offensive joke or like a genuinely offensive thing, is cancel culture immediately like cancels you. You're like, yeah, no, you're done, like
Yeah,
get out.
you don't get a second chance.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, you don't get like a second chance. There's no like trying to fix it. And I think the other side of cancel culture, where we've kind of been like focusing on humor, is the like cancel culture of like views and stuff, and like just kind of like morality, which cancel culture should not be a part of like um your personal views like at all, unless it's clearly like it leads to like the downfall or like the genocide of like a group of people, obviously, but just like economic views or like social views or like stuff like that, like cancel culture is just so destructive towards like those views. But yeah, to tie it in with like humor, which we've been talking about, yeah, cancel culture kind of just ruins like the humor side, because you don't get a second chance. There's no like testing, like the teasing, like you're talking about. There's no like testing to see if, okay, like can I say this joke, can I say like this joke type of
mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, I think we both agree, like there are jokes that go too far, and of course there should be people who are like, yeah, that's like offensive, like don't do that joke
Hmm.
type of thing.
It's also weird too, because like sometimes when the joke does go too far, I feel like it also depends on the build up. So say if a joke's like 80% too far, but like you've already built it up. So I think it's if it goes from 0 to 80, that's when it's bad. But I think say if the audience you're talking to, if you slowly build up, so they go from 0 to 10% and then 10 to 20 until you reach
Yeah.
80, I think that could be positive. But that's also where like the outside viewers who caused the cancel culture, they see it from 0 to 100 rather than be built
Yeah,
up to
exactly.
it and see that it's all in fun, you know.
Yeah,
Like kind of an
I,
example. It's
yeah,
probably not a good example, but like there's a comedian I genuinely enjoy. His name's Andrew Schultz. Um, like there's one video. Uh, I think he was doing stuff on like the Polynesian islands and stuff. But like, and he was in Hawaii doing it, and it was funny to me, because he started off with these jokes, and everyone's just like looking around, like, did this guy really just say that? They're all like looking around. There's like maybe one or two chuckle, and he didn't even care. He just kept going, and then everyone's like starts to laugh, and then he just keeps going, and everyone's like, man, this guy's still really going at it. But they also can tell he doesn't actually mean that offense, you know. As I said, it's a comedian just breaking that pressure in people, and that's why those public viewings, that's why they're so popular in the public, is because the public or society, they just need that break from the tense tension of the world. And so he was saying these jokes, and again, at first they were all just like, is this for real? But then at the end of the video, they're all having a blast. Like even the people who, like, he targeted multiple people, and I mean it was Hawaii, so there's quite a bit of island ethnicities there, and he was mainly cracking jokes at that kind of stuff. And it was them who at first were just kind of like, some of them, as I said, chuckled, but at the end all of them were like standing up and giving him applause, just because it was clever. It wasn't coming out of
yeah,
insult. It was on the teasing friendly side, not the teasing offense
yeah,
side. And so everyone was able to tell that, and that's also what makes a good comedian, I think, too, is because they're able to portray that too. I mean, if you have a straight face and you're saying some racist stuff, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's just fuck this guy. Let's get him out of here," you know. But
yeah.
like, but
Well,
like,
I think, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like your 0 to 80 thing. Like gradually building it usually shows that like, yeah, I'm joking. Like I'm
mhm,
saying this like to like because it's funny and like it's a funny thing. I'm trying to get a reaction that's like a friendship. Like we're friends. Like I'm not like I don't mean it. This is just like for fun type thing.
yeah,
And I think like a big thing like you're talking about like in societies. Like I think people just take it like super seriously. And honestly, there are some people who say it seriously, and like those are the people like should be canceled. Like we kind of said at the start, like there are definitely
there's
people who have been
positives.
canceled. Yeah, there are people who have been like canceled that definitely should have been canceled. But then there's times where like people just take something that someone says is like way too serious or just way out of context, and it's
Hmm.
like okay,
Like one like scenario that can happen, and it has happened, is like, say a comedy or comedian says something, and in the video and everything you can see it, but then say a news article comes out and it's just a picture of the comedian and then a quote of the joke. If you just see that, where you like the words but you don't see facial expression, you don't see body language, you don't see how the crowd's reacting, you don't see his
yeah,
initial intent, I think that's where a lot of cancel culture comes in. Because like you see that often in media, like someone's giving a speech, and in one sentence they say something like, I don't know, I don't have an example, but say they're like, uh chocolate candy is a great candy, and then the next sentence they're like, uh white chocolate is pretty good, and then an article comes out that just solely says, etc. said white chocolate is pretty good. Are they racist? And then everyone's like, cancel him. Let's do this. Like they
yeah,
jump on it without even knowing what the guy said 2 seconds before. Like they just nitpick everything, and I think that's where it's bad. But then if like you saw the whole video and you saw that he was actually like, oh, I prefer white chocolate because of its color, and then everyone's like, yeah, let's cancel this guy. He doesn't get a further than, yeah, and that's a pretty bad example, but
no, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, terrible example, but I mean it works.
yeah. Well, I don't know what I can even say for an example either. So,
Yeah, no, yeah, that works. Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah.
Um, anything else you have to say for cancel culture?
No, I think I've said everything I wanted to say about cancel culture. again, if like anyone has anything about cancel culture they want to talk about or like totally disagrees, that's even better.
Yeah, and there's like stuff that I know like even right now I could delve into, but I also want to save those for other times, and I
Yeah,
especially want to. There's a lot of stuff I want to save for you guys when you want to come on and talk with us too.
yeah, yeah. It's better. Yeah,
Because like some
just
examples of cancel culture is like, and I don't want to delve into it here, but it's just something to look forward to down the road. Like, and I think this was a positive cancel culture. Um, Regardless of what the topic is, but like J.K. Rowling's been canceled a few times on like homophobic stuff, transphobic stuff, whole other things. Regardless of the topic, like those are instances where it easily could be both good and bad. And so like
yeah.
stuff like that, even like um how people view those specific topics, that those are topics I want to go into on another time, but I don't think we're gonna have that time for today, especially with our
No, yeah.
last topic that we're gonna go into. But just something to look forward for other shows. And so,
No,
but
yeah, I agree. I think the other big thing about like what we're doing too is like with like cancel culture, but just kind of in general is like whoever like anyone who wants to like come on, like it just helps us dive in deeper and like really get into this stuff. So that's why we started it is to like
mhm.
get into the topics with people and hear other views. But anyways, that's
Yeah,
kind of
because I mean, this is kind of already how we talk when we just play video games, and that's why we're like, yo, you know what?
yeah,
Let's have other people listen, and
yeah,
something that we, again, that idea that you guys come on and talk with us, whether you're wanting to change our view or you want us to change your view or challenge your view or something, anything like, again, like, um, we just want to emphasize this is a safe space. Like it's we're not if we even if we disagree and stuff, we're not gonna try and put you in your place. We're not gonna put a video of like, oh, food perception owned, etc. You know, we're not gonna
yeah.
do that.
We
Um,
don't want to.
we definitely just want to have healthy discussions, and this is
Yeah,
just for everyone, even people who have who say if you disagree on every single point that we made, like this is for you guys too, and we'd love
yeah.
for you
Like,
to,
well, actually, probably specifically for
yeah,
them.
yeah, you know, like
It'd probably be
if
specific people who disagree and people who want to talk about like a different topic that we haven't talked about.
yeah,
So
yeah, because if you agree with us, what are we going to talk about?
yeah,
Unless you have, I guess something.
they're gonna come on and be like, yeah, I don't think video games relates to violence. We're gonna be like,
Okay.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But like at the same time, they could, like a nice thing about that is you might have a good defense
Different. Yeah,
for like you might have a good defense for what we've already talked about, and you agree with us, and you want to share that defense for both
yeah,
us and
yeah,
other people who share the opinion, you know, because like one thing is like when I was growing up, like say on my beliefs, I didn't have defense against quite a few things, but I've come up with my own answers as well as listen to other people so I can
yeah,
broaden my perspective, my perception of the things, and that's
yeah,
what's made it such a strong ideal for me. And so
yeah,
there's a lot of things that we'd love to talk about. So again, don't hesitate to get a hold of us. Whether that's we should probably drop the email for this, like a business email, but whether that's
yeah,
on our email
yeah.
that we'll put in. One thing
Or
we
even just comment on like the
Yeah,
YouTube.
you comment on the YouTube.
Or,
One
yeah.
thing I we need to put a link to this Discord because we have just a normal chat channel where you can chat with people about
Oh,
topics, you
yeah,
know, have your own
yeah,
discussions. And then we have a whole channel for topics where you can leave your topic and what and like aspects of the topic you want us to discuss. And so we'll put the Discord link there as well. But unless you have anything last real quick, we'll move on
no,
to the
yeah.
next
Yeah.
topic.